Okay, this is what I'm going to start doing every Sunday just to change things up a little bit. This is another OU battle done by my little brother. Somebody else saved it, so I figured, why not show it off? Very similar team to what we had before with our defensive core mainly being the Skarmory, the Jellicent, and not so much the Landorus, but we have, I think, Poison Heal Breloom, Hydreigon, Choice Specs Hydreigon, and on our opposing team we have a Skarmory, a probably rapid spinning Starmie, maybe Dragon Dancing, Multi-Scale, Dragonite. I'm not sure what that Volcarona is going to do because Volcarona is more useful in the rain because Hurricane hits like a monster. Then we also have the Espeon. Espeon is a royal pain in the butt because of magic bounce, and trust me, I've used Pokemon with that. I've dabbled around in NU a couple of times. And Spiritomb more or less is going to be the spin blocking so he can keep his hazards out and tell his opponent, F you, if you got a rapid spinner, I'm going to switch into him. Because it's going to be blatantly obvious if you do have one. Well, anyway, let's set up the speed and go right into it. So he opens with the Skarmory. Both of them open up with Skarmy, and they're probably thinking they both got the same idea, Stealth Rocks. Sets up one layer spike, not predicting the Espeon to come in. In comes Jellicent, and Espeon tricks him to give him leftovers so he gets choice specs. So whatever he picks, he's gonna be locked into it, but it's gonna be doing a lot more special attack damage. In comes Hydreigon, and Skarmory immediately sets up the Stealth Rocks. Skarmory is death foddered. Fire Blast, and Hydreigon reveals that he has the Life Orb, so it's not going to want to stand for too much longer, especially against that Volcarona. Then comes Skarmory, which soaks up the Bug Buzz fairly decently, even though it's quad resistant. He double switches into Jellicent, probably to resist the Fiery Dance or the Bug Buzz. Maybe possibly use a Scald, and he reveals he's got Giga Drain. Volcarona takes down Jellicent. There goes 1/3 of his defensive core. In comes Landotherian. Volcarona is not going to want to stay in there. Just because whatever he throws at him, it's going to take a lot of damage. In comes Spiritomb. Sponges up that Stone Edge fairly well. And immediately goes for a Sucker Punch. Lando don't give a damn about that Sucker Punch. Only doesn't even do about 1/3. Goes for another Sucker Punch, reduces him to 2/3 health, and Spiritomb is now gone. So rocks are here to stay for Tim's side of the field. Starmie immediately comes in, which causes him to switch into Raikou. Starmie immediately goes for a Surf, which does a significant amount of damage, but since Raikou is a choice Scarf, he's going to drop the T-Bolt for the knockout. And this is where I really think Stealth Rocks would really help. Dragonite comes in, immediately goes for an Earthquake. Hydreigon has Levitate, which means not happening. Plus he outspeeds Dragonite, drops the Draco Meteor, gets -2 attack, and down goes the big monster known as Dragonite. Volcarona comes in, uses the Fiery Dance, does significant damage, but takes a fair bit from that Earthquake, which causes Volcarona to immediately go to the Bug Buzz. Raikou comes in. Raikou's going to be more or less just cleaning up that Volcarona. Raikou's not going to live next time he switches in. In comes Landorus Therian, who only takes damage from Stealth Rocks because he has part flying. In comes Espeon, who outspeeds and immediately goes for the Calm Mind, which we all know it's going to be a nuisance. So immediately goes for a U-turn. And that will be the game. A win 4-0, and I'll be back with the second game for this Sunday. Okay, our second game here. Somewhat unusual kind of team. seems, like it's just a straight out, combination of offensive and defensive. Nothing really too different on the bottom. On the top, we have a Jirachi, which, if you saw last week's show, can do significant damage on the battlefield. Espeon is a fair bit of annoyance if you like to set up rocks and stuff like that. It could actually be like a rock stopper and put them on to your side of the field if you decide to use stealth rocks. Salamence is a house on freaking legs. It's got Moxie, which gets +1 every time he gets a kill. He can be mixed, he can be banded, he can be choice specs. There's so many things he can do. But the bottom line is he can destroy teams. Infernape, another big old threat. He's got priority moves. He's got a great move pool, so he can go into like special attacks or just physical attacks. And he's quick on his feet, so he can outspeed very much all different kinds of threats in the OU tier. Jellicent, we all know, is a bulky bugger. Rotom Wash, another bulky son of a gun, can take thunder hits fairly well. Problem I have with him is that he's not as offensive as some people would really like. So he's good for a defensive core, but he's not so much for an offensive core. So let's set up our speed and go into it. Opens up with the Raikou, and he wakes up Rotom Wash, not knowing what he's going to start off with. Raikou immediately goes with the Volt Switch, goes into his Jellicent, predicting the Hydro Pump, and fires up Hydro Pump. Jellicent says, "No, you are not doing damage to me because I have the ability." He goes, "Oh shit, might as well just use Volt Switch." Goes into Jellicent, who has the Cursed Body, as we discovered, because he's taking damage from it. Jellicent's like, "Oh, I can take that Shadow Ball pretty well." Returns Surf. Jellicent is pretty much at full health because he's dumb enough to forget that, oh, he took no damage from Surf the last time. Goes for the Wisp, so he's going to get continual 12% damage, which negates and takes away more damage than leftovers will provide. Immediately goes to Will-O-Wisp just to burn anything. Hopefully that Fernape or maybe his Salamence. Jirachi goes for Thunder and takes a Shadow Ball fairly well. And he's a lefty's variant, so he might be paraflinching. Or he switches immediately into Hydreigon, which Jirachi correctly predicts and goes for a Calm Mind. And he's sitting there taking burn. Goes for the Flash Cannon. Takes about half damage. Goes for a U-turn. Immediately into Breloom. Predicted some sort of, I don't know, maybe another powerful attack because he's not going to take hits too well. In comes Breloom. Hits him with the Mach Punch, which almost kills him. And in comes Jellicent. He uses a Spore to put Jellicent asleep, which means he's free to set up on him. Immediately switches into Hydreigon. First turn wake up for Jellicent, goes for the Recover. And he's pretty much at full health at this point. He immediately goes, "I'm not staying in." Goes in Raikou, predicting the Ice Beam. And he predicts that, well, Raikou sponges it up fairly well. Drops a T-Bolt for 70% damage. Gets hit with the Disable and a Surf in the same turn. Immediately switches it to Skarmory finally. And he's probably going to set up Stealth Rocks. No, he's going to see how much the Brave Bird's going to do. Very erratic move here. Takes a Nice Beam fairly well. It's like, okay, I'm going to set up as many hazards as I possibly can. And if he was really thinking that, why didn't he just set up the Stealth Rocks immediately? Get a turn ahead and maybe have a little bit more HP for Skarmory. So he gets 2 layers of Spike because Skarmory is a freaking boss. Gets a free Roost, which means that Ice Beam is going to do nothing to him. Which gives him another free turn to set up the rocks, which he get hit with the will-o-wisp. No, he doesn't set up the rocks. He uses the whirlwind, so Espeon comes in. Immediately switches into Hydreigon, predicting the HP fire. And Hydreigon takes that fairly well. In comes Jellicent, and all this spike damage is going to take its toll. Drops Draco Meteor. Bye-bye, Jellicent. There goes half his to 2/3 of his defensive core. In comes Espeon again. Double switches into Infernape for God knows what reason. Like, every time you switch in, you better have a good reason, because if you don't, you're going to take a nonsense damage. So he double switches from Jellicent, predicting the Thunder Punch into Skarmory. Still super effective damage. Skarmory is going to die from this. So he's going to predict the Thunder Punch. Lando T comes in. Even if it could affect him, it's not going to do much. Lando Therian, he predicts Run Wash, which means Run Wash dies due to Stone Edge. In comes Salamence, who sets up a Dragon Dance, which he predicts correctly and goes for the Stealth Rocks. Immediately hits him with the Stone Edge, which almost kills him, leaves with about 4% health, which he's going to immediately send in something for Death Fodder. And Salamence was a Life Orb variant, so he dies as well. In comes Raikou, and in comes Espeon. Espeon's not going to be taking anything too soon. And he reveals that his Raikou has Signal Beam, which, bye-bye, Espeon. In comes Infernape, which he does significant damage. Mach Punch, which he immediately leaves his... No, he doesn't leave his Raikou for Death Fodder. He must figure he could kill it, but he couldn't. So Infernape being the variation that he is, which is I believe Bandit, goes for another Rock Punch, does nothing to Landorus. Landorus then finishes him off with the Stone Edge, which will be the game, another 4-0 game. And which really shows, you know, in this video, my brother has tons of potential to just run any kind of defensive core he wants to in the OU tier, which is a very easy to learn, hard to master tier. It just really just shows you that he can use really anything and just smash people in the face, provided that, you know, they have somewhat decent stats. We saw in the last part he took a NU poke and Rotom Mow, and he just showed you that you can destroy a Gastrodon if you have a Choice Specs variation. You don't have to use a lower tier Pokemon like an NU Pokemon and just throw it, focus Sash, and just assume, okay, he's not going to take a hit whatsoever, so we might as well just, you know, throw him out there, let him take the one hit, have him use the weakness move against him, because Rotom Mow really throws people off. Although, not so much here, because folks like Raikou with Choice Scarf is actually faster than Jolteon, which base stats wise, Jolteon doesn't really need Choice Scarf to be really effective out there, because normally he would outspeed a lot of the tier. But even with the Choice Scarf, you know, you might run into a couple of speed ties with Jolteon, but aside from that, you know, Raikou still great Pokemon ever since Generation 2. Very useful Pokemon. And just in general, really smart playing here. Sees that sees his opponent has Espeon and reacts well in the second game than a lot better in the second game than in the first one, where he just threw Stealth Rocks wildly a little bit, but he still won that game for nothing. So that's it for this week. I'll see you all next Sunday. Have a nice day.